Nigeria has been very slow at implementing what it wants to implement and has been very, let's say, uninterested in implementing certain aspects that do not go down well with certain individuals who are in government. And what we were founded to do is to prove to Nigerian government by implementing at our own little scale that these things are doable. For example, comprehensive sexuality education that has to do with educating individuals and building their competency skills to make informed decisions. Moreover, what happened at that time was that people were not looking at people and saying, hey, if a woman is wearing 3 earrings, then she's lesbian. Hey, if a woman has tattoo, then she's a lesbian. Or if she wears a baggy trouser, she's a lesbian. And then they start to harass these girls. They gang rape them. Families evicted many children, especially boys who are effeminate. Not all men are macho like John Bravo or like Arnold Schwarzenegger. We are not all created like that. So you can't say because the man is lenge and he's doing like this, so he's gay. So you kick him out of the house. Where do you want him to go? I have handled cases of girls that families organized for communities to rape because they perceive them to be lesbians. I don't understand how anybody can think that is the right thing to do. But when we pass laws like that, it legitimizes all of these practices. I have seen where men were arrested by community people. They were stripped stark naked as God made them and paraded around the streets under the claims that they were gay. Is that right? You see, we've lost our humanity. Do we want to ask ourselves why we've lost it? Because of practices like that. How do you walk an adult grown up naked along the streets? Everybody is thinking, where is our humanity? Why do we continue to dissipate our energies on distractions rather than face the things that matter? If I go out now and I shout, gay, gay, everybody will come out. Where is he? Let's beat him. They are collecting 100 million for your nomination form. You not say anything. They give us football, Liverpool, Man U, comedy, stand up, and we are fine. Those are the only things working now in Nigeria. We need to begin to look at the real issues. Why don't we have light? Why don't we have water? Why is our security the way it is? Is it gay people that are responsible for that? Hell no. Leave them alone. Let's face this thing and let's repair it. Stop distracting us with religious sentiment. Not because I'm biologically defined a woman would make it work. But I am a woman who has risen from community level with experience doing work with grassroots people. I have the skill in leadership building. I have the skill in working with diverse stakeholders on very delicate issues. I have the skill in consensus building, conflict resolution. I have knowledge on all the thematic areas that count to bring Nigeria out of the place that it is, so that we
we'll round up on the president. Let's really go into what is INCRESE all about, your organization.
International Center for Sexual Reproductive Rights.
Yes, and I see that you have some kind of relationship with the United Nations and some other international agencies. What's it all about? I've seen a lot, but I want you to tell us concise, in a concise, you know,
the organization was founded to bridge the gap between the policies that are articulated at the UN level, to which Nigeria is signatory, to the actual implementation of those treaties and conventions in the country. We discovered, for instance, when the conference took place in Cairo, Nigeria was represented. In Beijing, Nigeria was represented. There are outcome documents from those conferences that governments were charged to come and implement. Nigeria has been very slow at implementing what it wants to implement, and has been very, let's say, uninterested in implementing certain aspects that do not go down well with certain individuals who are in government. And what we were founded to do is to prove to Nigerian government, by implementing at our own little scale, that these things are doable. For example, comprehensive sexuality education that has to do with educating individuals and building their competency skills to make informed decisions. Nigerians decided that they don't want comprehensive sexuality education.
A lot of people are afraid that you are saying something like Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act, that your organization does not want it to be which was firstly contested.
Yes.
And you didn't want it to be passed, or what?
Yes, we didn't want it to be passed because that law was not well thought through. It had provisions in it that were inimical to human rights. Because our right to privacy, for example, was or is put under jeopardy if we are to implement this law. How? The law says that when you do exhibit amorous relationship in private or in public, you are guilty of an offense. Now the question is, how would you know what I'm doing in private if you don't infringe on my right to privacy? We all have right to privacy. When I shut my door and I'm in my room, I have a right. Why would you put a CCTV camera or peep through my window to see what I'm doing in my room? I don't see even in any religion or any ethical practice where that is allowed. And now, come to think of it, what they did was to say that no hotel should accommodate two persons of the same sex in a room. Those days, if you gave me money to run a workshop, and I'm supposed to run a workshop for 15 people, I know that the resources are scarce. I would want to expand that opportunity to 30 people. So I will beg my women and say, please, you will come for this training. It's on human rights, or it's on empowerment, or it's on life competency skills building. I have money for 15 people, but I would want 15 more people to benefit from this. Can we share rooms? As a feminist, I grew up, all these WIN conferences and so on, we shared rooms. In fact, I attended a conference in the US and there were 3 of us in a room. Because we want to expand opportunities for participation. We want to maximize the opportunity. But then you come up with a law that says people cannot share room. Why do you assume that if people are sharing a room, they are automatically having sex? It doesn't resonate well. Moreover, what happened at that time was that people were not looking at people and saying, hey, if a woman is wearing 3 earrings, then she's lesbian. Hey, if a woman has tattoo, then she's a lesbian. Or if she wears a baggy trouser, she's a lesbian. And then they start to harass these girls. They gang rape them. Families evicted many children, especially boys who are effeminate. Not all men are macho like John Bravo or like Arnold Schwarzenegger. We are not all created like that. So you can't say because the man is lenge and he's doing like this, so he's gay. So you kick him out of the house. Where do you want him to go? To 2 wrongs do not make a right. And when we bring about laws like that, we purposefully create opportunities for some sections of our humanity to be victimized and abused. I have handled cases of girls that families organized for communities to rape because they perceive them to be lesbians. I don't understand how anybody can think that is the right thing to do. But when we pass laws like that, it legitimizes all of these practices. I have seen where men were arrested by community people. They were stripped stark naked as God made them and paraded around the streets under the claims that they were gay. Is that right? You see, we've lost our humanity. Do we want to ask ourselves why we've lost it? Because of practices like that. How do you walk an adult grown up naked along the streets? Everybody is thinking, where is our humanity? And that's why these things are happening with impunity. Because our conscience has been seared, it's been killed because of the kind of things we witness in the street. I grew up until I was an adult myself. I had never seen a naked adult in my life. The children are standing in the corner, then they see you shouting, hey, homo, hey, and he's naked and he's going in the street. What images are you putting in that child's head? There are things we need to interrogate. On the surface, it may look okay, but what are the implications? Why do we single out a group of people and create vulnerability around them? How do you even prove that this person is gay? Tell me. How do we prove? Those were the questions we were asking. Please, before you pass this law, make sure you have looked at all of these things, because it will boomerang. And yes, it did. So we had Gishiri community that went around one night, and it was knocking on doors. 2 men live here, bring them out. They will beat them or nearly kill them, and they will be parading them, beating them. They will go to the next house. 2 men live here, bring them out. In Abuja, how can 2 men not share a room or a flat? Do you know how much it costs to parent there? These are the things that caused me to interrogate that law. And moreover, even if people are gay, they have rights. After all, I'm robber where they arrest, get right. Person where they want shoot today, get right. If the person we are going to hang to death by law today starts to run temperature and has fever, they will give him a doctor. They will give him medication before they finally go and do their capital punishment, which I do not support anyway. So those were the things that we had concerns with about that law. And you know, we have already sodomy laws that take care of those things, and we have more pressing things. How does same-sex people affect the hospital and the fact that we don't have a machine that can do PET CT scan? How does people who are having same-sex relationships affect the state of our schools? The fact that ASU is on strike and they are doing nothing. Now, homo kosan. Why do we continue to dissipate our energies on distractions rather than face the things that matter? If I go out now and I shout, gay, gay, everybody will come out. Where is he? Let's beat him. They are collecting 100 million for your nomination form. You not say anything. They give us football, Liverpool, Man U, comedy, stand up, and we are fine. Those are the only things working now in Nigeria. We need to begin to look at the real issues. Why don't we have light? Why don't we have water? Why is our security the way it is? Is it gay people that are responsible for that? Hell no. Leave them alone. Let's face this thing and let's repair it. Stop distracting us with religious sentiments and all sorts of morality that they themselves do not even hold dear. Food for thought.
Food and drink for thought. I want to ask you this question. What is the perception? Feminism to some of us in Nigeria is like arrogance from the women folk, letting us believe that men don't mean anything, that I can succeed my life, I can do anything with myself. But God didn't do it that way anyway. God said For this reason, a man shall leave his father and his mother, and he and his wife become one. God didn't create it that feminism should survive. But what's your own perception of feminism? Because you are an advocate of feminism.
Yeah, I'm a feminist.
Feminist, of course.
Yeah, and we say feminist with no ifs and no buts. Now, a feminist is a woman who has capacity to analyze a situation or a relationship, identify if there are injustices that have been perpetrated therein, and do something to correct those injustices. That's a feminist. Nothing more, nothing less.
Are you sure that's the definition?
With my right hand raised, yes. People mix up feminism with women liberation. The women liberation movement was the movement that, people would say, hey, if man is smoking, woman too can smoke. If man married 2 wives, woman too can marry 2 husbands. No. Feminism is not that. Feminism is committed to identifying injustices and rectifying them.
Among women? Or
no,
among
general population.
General population?
Yes. So if a man is being beaten, you have the responsibility to protect that man. So it is the feminist movement that first started shouting that men are getting raped. Oh, why are we not doing something about it? It is us who were protesting. It said men are getting raped. They are getting raped by women. They are getting raped by men. Let's do something to correct that injustice. Of course, we know that majority of domestic violence is perpetrated against women and children. But we are not blind to the fact that there are instances where women also are perpetrators of domestic violence. And so we have always campaigned and advocated for the first clause in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
That's 1948.
We are all born equal. In rights and in dignity. It does not matter if you are male or if you are female. And that is feminism. That is feminism. So if I'm passing by and I see a girl being molested by boys on her way to school, I stop. And I chook my mouth inside. Why when they touch her and she not like me, when I leave her, I take it on myself. If families kick out their children, I have safe shelter. I bring them in. I investigate what has happened, what went wrong. I talk to the child, I talk to the parents, and I reintegrate the family. If I see a man whose wife has run away with the children and is not allowing him access to see the kids, I move. Sometimes I'm working with families that are living in Port Harcourt, in Lagos, while I'm in Mina, in Kano. The fact that children are bullied and killed by their peers is our concern as feminists. The fact that people do not have access and opportunities that are due them is our concern as feminists. That is feminism. If you see any woman who is treating a man like a rag, that person is violating human rights. And that person needs to be arrested, and that person needs to be punished according to law. That is what we do as feminists.
So that's the basic definition of feminism.
Yes. But people misunderstand it and think that, oh, these people, they don't like peace, they don't love marriage, they are divorcees, they are angry women, they are frustrated single girls, they are women, who don't want to settle, and so on and so forth. No, that is not feminism. Feminism would respect everybody's choice and rights for as long as those do not infringe on another person's rights. Like you have your rights. You are entitled to your rights. And you can express yourself as you want. For as long as the way you are expressing yourself does not come into my own space. So the principle in rights say your rights stop where my own begin. My own rights stop where your own begin. And there is a principle that says that all rights come with responsibility. So even though I'm a feminist, I encourage people to express themselves. I also educate them about responsibility that comes with their rights. You can't have sex with a 15-year-old girl and then she gets pregnant and you're like, wow, this thing where I do for 2 minutes standing, I don't give you belly. No, rights come with responsibility. You can't say no. After all, I didn't bargain for this. I'm not ready. So I don't have money to look after the child that is from the. No. You look after the child, though, because rights come with responsibility. You can't give birth to 6 children and then throw them on the streets and not cater for them. It's your right, though, to have as many children as you want, though, but it's your responsibility to make sure those children are catered for. You know, I have a right to choose to be an aspirant. But it comes with responsibility. The responsibility is that rather than sit at home with my children and be cozy, I have to be going all around and talking to people and canvassing for support and votes, you know. So every right comes with responsibility, and feminists recognize that. We are environmental justice activists. We are socio-economic justice activists. We are political justice activists, and we are gender activists, human rights activists. We want to be sure that everybody's rights are protected, regardless of whether they are male or female, whether they are disabled or able-bodied. Everybody has rights.
I want to take you to the case of Osinachi before we round up.
Yes.
She died, and there were allegations that her husband maltreated her severely, and on the part of the church, there was also allegation that the pastor won Nature, what is his name there in Abuja, the Dunamis guy, that he didn't pay attention to the emotional dislocation in the family and all that until it led to death. And when the minister, that very fantastic woman called Italian, Minister of Women Affairs, intervened and interviewed the children, all the 3 boys and 1 girl, all agreed that their father was brutal and all that. The man is now arrested, and it appears that the what can I call it? The document from the hospital is saying otherwise. I don't know if the doctor did, but from your perspective, what do you think supposed to be done in that case, especially to the husband?
Yeah, I think that if there are instances where he was abusive, he should answer to them, regardless of whether she died off directly as a result of the abusive relationship or as a result of a disease. Moreover, as a cancer survivor, I know that most women who come down with cancer have cancer because of emotional trauma and depression, because it makes the whole system acidic, it weakens the body immunity and makes the cancer cells able to thrive and multiply in their body. So we cannot completely disconnect the abuse she went through with the disease, if indeed she had cancer of the chest or of the throat. But even if that was the case, the fact that this man, there are testimonies that show that he was abusive, he needs to answer to that. Whether or not the pastor was able to figure out what was happening within the family is another thing altogether. I know from experience counseling couples that many times people don't want to report what they are going through. There are times that it is third parties that come to report to you. And we tried to make sure that in Nigerian laws, we have third party reporting included in it. But people say people will use it to witch hunt other people. But we have to know the power dynamics in an abusive relationship. Sometimes the victim is so completely disempowered that they become 100% dependent on the abuser and begin to think that that is their source of life. And taking that abuser away is like taking their life away. It takes a third party reporting to draw attention to that situation. I think that anyone who lives around anyone who is experiencing abuse has the responsibility to make it known to a responsible authority that this is what is going on here, so that people who have the expertise can deploy their skills to assist the victim and the family. And
rescue the victim.
Rescue the victim.
If possible, if necessary.
Yes. Sometimes, you know, they can be very difficult to rescue. There are moments where we have brought people out, put them on at the safe shelter, and after 3 days, they begin to say, I want to go back. You are bringing them out. The 3 days, they want to go back. But it is okay. The important thing is to give them information and build their capacity so that they can make the right choices for themselves.
That's interesting. Tomorrow is your birthday. Can you tell us about your husband and what are the fond memories with him?
Husband died as a pastor, you know, with the Redeemed Christian Church of God. We believe that he's resting with the Lord. It's fine.
How old was he when he passed away?
He was 60 years old.
Oh, that's a very young man. Very young man.
Yeah. We miss him dearly, but he bequeathed Jesus to us. I haven't seen anyone who has demonstrated the love of Jesus in my life like he did. There were times that I was not deserving at all of his love and respect, but he gave it to me, you know. And so I look forward to that resurrection morning where I will see him, give him a big hug. I know he will raise his thumb and say, yes, my cheek. You know, that's what he called me, my cheek.
Was it Yoruba, Igbo, or Hausa?
Edo State.
Edo State, what parts?
Agenebode.
Hey, that's one of Chibuemon Tokwesi's place. Agenebode, they're very loving people.
Yes, he was. So,
how many years was the relationship?
How many years? Marriage from 1987.
Hey.
Yeah, to 2015. So I remember him, jolly fellow, easygoing, loved God with all his heart. And even he told me, he said, you know, whatever you do, I must make heaven. I love you, but you won't stop me from making heaven. You know, so even when he was angry with me, he still maintained his heavenly quest. And that is what brought about all the forgiveness, you know, and his acceptance of me, even at moments that I was least deserving of such. You know, so he was a very fantastic father, and he was very understanding. You could tell him how to parent the children, and if it was online, you know, he would do. He used to be a very hot-tempered person, but he understood that with that temper, we couldn't bring our children up well, and he did something about it. And today, the children are very fantastic. Proud of him.
Three lovely young men.
Yeah.
What's his name, full name?
George Osinachi.
Osikpemi.
Osikpemi.
What's the spelling of that? George.
Osikpemi. Osikpemi.
Okay. That's a great man.
Yeah.
How did you survive? Was it after him that you have your challenge
with cancer?
Yeah.
No, he was around at the time I was battling cancer. You know.
Which kind of cancer is it?
Breast cancer.
Oh.
Yeah, I had breast cancer.
Oh my God.
And he was very supportive. I was in Mina while he was pastoring here in Lagos. And, you know, he came frequently to see how I was doing. He called me several times and we prayed. He made sure that I did my checkup when it was due. And he made sure that he was available for the children all the time that I was away for my treatment, and each time I was away for checkup. And you know, very prayerful man, and he was always declaring, you know, that it is well with me, and that by his stripes I was healed, and I just need to walk in the healing. But one thing that I also must say concerning how he supported me is the fact that despite the fact that he was a pastor, he knew the place of going to the hospital. And he made sure that I adhered to my treatment. You know, many pastors have queried their spouses or children and said they don't have faith, that's why they are not getting healed. Instead of encouraging them to seek medical care. He did encourage me to seek medical care.
That's a wonderful man. As a godly person.
Yeah, he is.
So you conquered it and you survived it.
Oh yeah, you can see. I'm alive.
Thank you, Lord Jesus. Thank you, Lord Jesus.
Yes, you know, yeah.
Well, I want to ask you that, on the last note, what message do you have for Nigeria, especially as we are moving to the election? we're in the election, eve of an election, 2023. What means you have for the masses, for the men, for the women, for the children, people that repose their belief in you, that maybe this woman will be a different change. Because it's only once that we had a woman, I think she was also from Niger State.
Sarah
Jibril, yeah, and it was a lot of frustration, push around and all that.
Oh, yeah.
But you are here now. I want to believe that Aken'OVA will make a difference. So
yes, amen.
What's going to be? What message do you have for Nigerians?
Well, the message is that I am aspiring because I know that it is time for Nigeria to do something radically different so that we can have a difference. We have done the same thing the same way over the years. We have trusted, as our culture made us believe, that men at the helm of affairs will make things work. But we now know better that not men, because they are biologically defined so, can make things work. And the same thing goes for women. Not because I'm biologically defined a woman would make it work. But I am a woman who has risen from community level with experience doing work with grassroots people. I have the skill in leadership building. I have the skill in working with diverse stakeholders on very delicate issues. I have the skill in consensus building, conflict resolution. I have knowledge on all the thematic areas that count to bring Nigeria out of the place that it is, so that we can begin to forge ahead and have a better country. I understand what women's needs are. I understand what the young people's needs are. Important thing is, many people will come, they will promise, we will do this, we'll do that. I read somewhere about an aspirant that was saying we'll create 6 million jobs in how many months or years, you know. The question we must ask ourselves and ask the aspirants when they make those promises is, how are you going to do that? If an aspirant cannot tell you the strategies, the how, then it means they have no answer. Those promises are empty. And they are repeating exactly the same fraud that happened to us in 2015. So if I say that I'm going to improve security, please ask me, how am I going to do that? What am I going to put in place to make sure that happens? If I say I want that community connectedness with the grassroots and the leadership, you should ask me, how am I going to achieve that? If I say jobs will be available for young people, we will be working on merit, not on people who know who, so that all this job harnessing can ask the question, how? That is the way we can move forward. Every promise that does not come with a strategy is an empty promise. We must address the strategy. And you know what? When you ask the question, how, it enables you understand whether this person is going to create more problems via the solutions they are proffering. Because we have to also pursue it in that dimension. If you tell me this is how you're going to do it, oh, I'm going to improve the economy. How? Are you going to just keep tasking us like this? For as long as they don't tell you how they are going to manage to reduce those allowances, then you still have a question to ask them. So as we move towards 2023, let's shine our eyes. We are saying vote a woman in. The woman has a motherly feeling. I know from the Bible it says a mother may forget her suckling child. That's the most extreme example God could find to use. You know, so it means that mothers, you can trust on a mother. And that is what I'm bringing on board. That compassion, generosity, understanding, ability to pull people together. You know how mothers can so centrally bring the whole family together? That is what I'm coming with. In addition to that, of course, is the expanded and wealth of experience that I have, not only in work in Nigeria, but also internationally. So I'm also capable of drawing investments in from outside of Nigeria because of my existing relationship. And I know what policies have been agreed upon. The Sustainable Development Goals, the Beijing Platform for Action, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, the Cairo program of action. I know all of those things. I have used them to design projects and implement projects. I know about fundraising. And one thing I must tell you, you know, as you are telling me, this is the final question. I've been telling people I'm not a rich woman. I don't have Ghana must go stash anywhere for this election. This project has to be owned by the people, because it's when you own it that you can dictate what happens with it or to it. You know, if you depend on people who come and pay you, then you won't have a say. They own it, they paid for it, they bought it. But own this one, because this is the one that you can call your own. If you contribute to this process and we get the leadership position in Aso Rock, you can dictate whether or not I should remain there. You can call me back. I don't have any cabal. I don't have any godfather you have to contend with. I have you, the people in Nigeria. You are the godparents that I have. You are the only cabal that will sustain me between now, through the election, and after the election. And those are the kind of people that you should look out for at all the levels that we are electing people for. The people who are poor like us, who are managing to do the mighty things we have done throughout this election period. With the little we have, we will be able to manage Nigeria when we take it over. Nigeria is broke. Let us not lie to ourselves. So it is these skills that we are acquiring and exhibiting now that will speak for us when we do take over power come 2023.
But I want to thank you, and I want to congratulate you in advance that we wish you become Her Excellency.
Thank you very much.
Madam Dorothy Nuhu-AKEN'OVA. And I'm very happy to say that we are going to broadcast it verbatim, and Nigerians home and abroad are watching you. And I want to believe that it's going to be the force of God behind your dream, and it's going to be inspiration and for you to achieve it at the end of the day.
Amen.
Thank you so much for coming up.
Thank you very much, sir.
God bless you.
I'm very grateful. It's a privilege and opportunity to be at Asebe TV.
Yes, and
the biggest one.
I wish you happy birthday tomorrow. And I'm looking at when you're going to be 60, you're thinking of really Nigeria at 60.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not bad, you know.
We've
had a lot of great women rule their country, from Pakistan to Germany,
to Liberia,
Tanzania, and some other lovely, beautiful country, even almost nearly America. Anyhow. So, well, till we meet the next time that God is going to allow us, maybe it might be soon, and it might be during the inauguration and whatever, but we want to believe in God. We are attaching our faith to God. We want you to share the video. If there's anything you want to have with her, we're going to have some information scrolling, and as you can see, they're scrolling across the screen there. You can write to her, you can reach out to her if there's anything you want to relate with on democracy, on gender activism, on socio-economic activism, and on international relation, any other thing that you want to relate or you want to talk about with her. Definitely she will reach out to you, either by her assistant or directly by herself. So till the next time we are meeting this wonderful lady, please continue to share the truth, support goodness, support courage, support justice. Thank you. God bless you. Goodbye.